People talk about this one song, they whisper about it, they say it's proof. They're proof that Elvis knew what was coming. They believe he sang his own future, a dark premonition set to music. A warning he sent out to the world, or maybe just to himself. The idea is powerful. Sure, it's romantic. It turns a sad end into a tragic destiny. But is it true? Is there a song that really holds the secret to his final days? Let's look at the man. Not the legend, not the icon, the man. To understand the song, you have to understand where he was when he sang it. The year was 1972. This wasn't the explosive, hip-swiveling Elvis of the 1950s. This wasn't the handsome movie star of the 1960s. This was a different man. He was 37 years old, but in many ways he seemed older. The world had changed around him, and he was struggling to find his place in it. The biggest thing happening in his life was a deep, personal heartbreak. His marriage to Priscilla was over. They had separated just a few months before he recorded this song. This wasn't just a breakup. It was the collapse of his entire world. He met Priscilla when she was just a teenager. He had shaped her. He had built his idea of a perfect home around her. And now, she was leaving. She had found a life outside of his shadow, and he was left behind in the gilded cage of Graceland. He was profoundly lonely. Think about it. He was one of the most famous people on the planet. He was surrounded by his crew, the Memphis Mafia. He had fans screaming his name every night. But he was isolated. He couldn't go to the store. He couldn't walk in a park. His world was a bubble of hotel suites, private jets, and backstage rooms. The one person who was supposed to be his anchor, his connection to a normal reality, was gone. The loneliness must have been crushing. And there was their daughter, Lisa Marie. She was just a little girl caught in the middle of it all. Elvis adored her. The thought of not seeing her every day, of her growing up in a broken home, tormented him. This is a key piece of the puzzle. The pain wasn't just about losing a wife, no. It was about losing his family. It was about the failure of the one thing he thought he could control. So you have a man who is heartbroken, lonely, and worried about his child. That's the emotional backdrop. Now let's look at his professional life. On the surface, things were great. He was the king of Las Vegas. He was selling out massive arenas across the country. The money was pouring in. But it was a grind, a relentless, soul-crushing grind. Show after show, city after city. The same songs, the same moves. He was trapped in a routine. He had become a product, the Elvis Presley experience. The spontaneity and danger of his early years were gone, replaced by a highly polished, professional machine. He felt like a prisoner of his own fame. The jumpsuits, which started as cool stage wear, became a costume. They got more elaborate, more bejeweled, hiding the man who was beginning to show the strain. He was tired. He was bored. He would sometimes complain to his friends that he was sick of singing his old hits. He wanted to do something new, something different, but the machine had to be fed. The concerts had to be booked. The money had to be made. This pressure led to his third problem, his health. The Elvis of 1972 was not a healthy man. His diet was terrible. He was gaining weight. To keep up with the grueling schedule, to be up for the show and then down enough to sleep, he relied on an ever-growing list of prescription drugs. Uppers, downers, painkillers, sleeping pills. His doctors were all too willing to give him whatever he wanted. He was Elvis, after all. Who was going to say no to him? This wasn't a secret rock and roll party. It was a slow, quiet slide into dependency. His body was starting to fail him. He suffered from various ailments, made worse by the pills and the lifestyle. He was physically in pain a lot of the time. People around him could see it. The spark in his eyes was dimming. The vibrant energy was being replaced by a kind of weary resignation. So we have a man who's emotionally devastated, professionally exhausted, and physically deteriorating. This is the man who walked into the recording studio in March of 1972. He wasn't thinking about the future in some mystical, prophetic way. He was drowning in his present, his life was falling apart, and he was looking for a way to express that pain. And then a song was brought to him. It was written by two of his own guys, people who saw his pain up close every day. His bodyguard, Red West, was one of the writers. Red had been with him since the beginning. He saw the heartbreak over Priscilla, he saw the toll it was taking. He and his co-writer, Richard Menegra, wrote a song that was directly about what Elvis was going through. It wasn't a metaphor, it wasn't a riddle, it was a straightforward, honest song about a marriage ending. Let's look at the lyrics. The song starts by acknowledging that the love is gone. There's nothing left to say or do. The feeling is dead. It's a painful admission. It's about accepting a bitter reality. We can't go on together with suspicious minds, he had sung a few years earlier, a song full of desperate hope to save a relationship. This new song had no such hope. It was the aftermath. It was the sound of surrender. The song talks directly about the impact on a child. It speaks of little hands that don't understand why mommy and daddy can't live together anymore. It's a heartbreakingly specific detail. This wasn't some generic breakup song. This was about Lisa Marie. It was about the guilt and sadness of two parents who know their choices are going to hurt their innocent child. This is the core of the song. It's a parent's lament. Then comes the chorus. It's about making the decision to part. It's better this way, the song argues. It's better for everyone if they just let go. There's a profound sadness in that. A sense of finality. This isn't a temporary break. This is the end of the road. Now, here is where people who believe in the premonition theory find their evidence. The song talks about going down different paths. It talks about a future where they are no longer together. One line says, maybe at a distant place we'll find a brand new way. Proponents of the theory say this: distant place is the afterlife. They believe Elvis was singing about meeting again in heaven after death. Another line says, some other man will come along and take your hand and sing a song. This, they say, is Elvis accepting his own mortality. He's acknowledging that he will be gone and Priscilla will move on with someone else. He's giving her his blessing from beyond the grave. And the overall tone of the song feeds this interpretation. It's not angry, it's not bitter, it's deeply, deeply sad and resigned. It sounds like a man saying goodbye. Not just to his wife, but to everything. The vocal performance is key. Elvis doesn't just sing the words, he lives them. You can hear the ache in his voice. You can feel the weight of his sorrow. It's a performance of raw, unfiltered pain. When you listen, it's easy to get swept up in the emotion and believe it must be about something bigger, something more profound than a simple divorce. It sounds final. It sounds like a last will and testament. So is that what it is? Is this the proof? I don't think so. I think the real story is much simpler and, in a way, much sadder. The simplest explanation is almost always the right one. The song is about his divorce because his divorce was happening. The writers wrote about what they saw. Elvis sang about what he felt. There is no need to look for a hidden supernatural meaning when the plain, literal meaning fits the facts of his life so perfectly. He was losing his family. The song is about losing his family. The line about a distant place is a common trope in breakup songs. It's a way of saying maybe someday, far in the future, we'll both find happiness again. It's not necessarily about death. It's about time healing wounds. It's a faint glimmer of hope in a dark situation, the idea that this pain won't last forever. And the line about another man coming along, that's the painful reality of a breakup. When you love someone and you separate, you have to face the fact that they will eventually find someone new. For a man like Elvis, a man with a fragile ego who needed to be the center of the universe, this was a devastating thought. The song isn't a prophecy of his death. It's an expression of his current jealousy and heartbreak, cloaked in a sense of mature resignation. He's trying to be the bigger man, but it's killing him. The problem is something called confirmation bias. We know how the story ends. We know Elvis died just 5 years later in 1977. We know he was bloated, unhealthy, and addicted to prescription drugs. So when we look back at his work, we look for clues. We want to find signs and symbols that pointed to the tragic end. This song, with its heavy sadness and theme of finality, is a perfect candidate. We connect the dots backwards. We impose a meaning onto the song that wasn't there when it was created. We see what we want to see because it makes for a better story. The idea of a premonition is comforting in a strange way. It suggests there's a plan, a destiny. It makes his death seem faded and poetic. The reality is messier and more tragic. The reality is that a man was in deep emotional pain and he used his work to process that pain. At the same time, he was slowly killing himself with his lifestyle choices. The two things are connected, but one is not a prophecy of the other. The song is a symptom of his decline, not a prediction of it. The real premonition wasn't in the lyrics of the song. The premonition was in his day-to-day life. It was in the empty bottles of pills. It was in the unhealthy food he ate to comfort himself. It was in the glassy look in his eyes that his friends saw but felt powerless to change. It was in his slurred speech during some of his last concerts. The writing wasn't on a vinyl record. It was on the wall for everyone to see. His body was telling him it was going to end. His spirit was telling him he was tired. He didn't need a supernatural vision to know things were bad. He was living it. The sadness you hear in his voice in that song is real, but it's the sadness of a man who has lost his family and is losing himself. It's the sound of a man who is giving up, not just on his marriage, but on a part of himself. He's resigning himself to a life of loneliness on the road, of being the king in a castle with no queen. Why does this myth persist? Because it's a testament to the power of his performance. He was the greatest interpreter of a song who ever lived. He could take a simple lyric and infuse it with so much emotion, so much personal truth, that it became something more. He makes you believe every word. When he sings about saying goodbye, you feel it in your bones. He sells the finality so completely that we are tempted to apply it to his entire life, not just a single story the song is telling. He didn't write the song. That's another crucial fact that gets overlooked. If he had written the lyrics himself, pouring out his soul in a late-night session, the premonition theory might hold more weight. But he didn't. He was given a song that was tailor-made for his situation. He recognized the truth in it, and he delivered a vocal performance that was devastatingly honest. He was an actor in his own life's drama, playing the part of the heartbroken husband. So, what is this song then? It's not a message from the future. It's a snapshot in time. It's a photograph of a man at his most vulnerable. It's a confession of failure and a plea for understanding. It's the sound of a heart breaking in real time, and in a way that's more powerful than any prophecy. It's more human. It's easy to mythologize our heroes when they die young. We want to believe they were special, that they had a connection to a higher plane of existence. We don't want to accept that they were just people, flawed and fragile, who made mistakes and suffered consequences. We don't want to believe that the king died alone on a bathroom floor because of poor choices and a weak heart. We'd rather believe he knew it was coming, that he said his goodbyes through his art, and that he faced his destiny like a tragic hero in a play. But the truth is in the music, and the music is telling a very clear story. It's a story of love lost in the pain of a family being torn apart. It's a story about the end of a marriage. It's about the very real, very earthly pain he was feeling in the spring of 1972. The song isn't a premonition of his death, it's a monument to his divorce. It's a sad, beautiful, and honest piece of art that captured a moment of profound personal loss. The finality we hear in it is the finality of a relationship ending forever. And maybe in that moment, that felt like a kind of death to him. The death of the dream. The death of the life he thought he would have. That's the goodbye he was singing. And the song people talk about, the one they say held a secret, it's called Separate Ways.